Hi, I'm Joy, and I'm going to be speaking about the Christmas prophecies. We are still in the Christmas season, so it's not too late. The Messiah will be born of a virgin. In Isaiah 7:10 through 14, the Lord Himself will give you a sign. Behold, a virgin will be with child and bear a son, and she will call his name Emmanuel, which means God with us. This was written 700 years before Jesus was born. It was fulfilled in the book of Luke, chapter 1 through 26 through 38. And part of that says, in the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent from God to a city in Galilee called Nazareth, to a virgin engaged to a man whose name was Joseph, of the descendants of David, and the virgin's name was Mary. The angel said to Mary, "Do not be afraid, Mary. You have found favor with God. Behold, you will conceive in your womb, and you will bear a son, and you will name him Jesus, which is the same as Yeshua. He will be great, and he will be called the Son of the Most High, and the Lord will give him the throne of his father David, and he will reign over the house of Jacob forever, and his kingdom will have no end." Matthew in chapter 1, verse 18 through 25 speaks about the birth of Jesus. Now, the birth of Jesus, the Messiah, was as follows. When his mother, Mary, had been betrothed to Joseph, before they came together, she was found to be with child by the Holy Spirit. All of this took place to fulfill what was spoken by the Lord through the prophet Isaiah. Another prophecy concerning Christmas, the birth of Jesus, is the Messiah will be born in a little town named Bethlehem. And that is not the Bethlehem in the north where Nazareth is, but it's the Bethlehem in Judah, the city of David near Jerusalem. The prophecy goes, "But as for you, Bethlehem Ephrathah, too little to be among the clans of Judah, from you one will go forth for me to be ruler in Israel. His goings forth are from long ago, from the days of eternity." And that's Micah chapter 5, 2 through 5. "And he will arise and shepherd his flock in the strength of the Lord, in the majesty of the name of the Lord his God. And the flock will remain, because at that time he will be great to the ends of the earth, and this one will be our peace." Well, you'll see that fulfilled in Luke chapter 2, 1 through 7, and I'll read that. Let me read that out of the New American Standard. And it says, wrong chapter here, chapter 2. It says, "Now it came about in those days that a decree went out from Caesar Augustus that a census be taken of all the inhabited earth. This was the first census taken while Quirinius was governor of Syria, and all were proceeding to register for the census, every one to his own city. And Joseph also went up from Galilee, from the city of Nazareth to Judea, to the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and the family of David, in order to register along with Mary, who was engaged to him and was with child. And it came about that while they were there, the days were completed for her to give birth, and she gave birth to her firstborn son, and she wrapped him in swaddling clothes, and she laid him in a manger, because there was no room for them in the inn." And the third prophecy was the Messiah, born a baby, will also be God himself. In Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6 and 7, Isaiah prophesied For a child will be born to us, a son will be given to us. The government will rest on his shoulders, and his name will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Eternal Father, and Prince of Peace. There will be no end to the increase of his government or of peace on the throne of David and over his kingdom, to establish it, to uphold it with justice and righteousness from then on forevermore. So you see, God was, the Messiah was not only a baby, but he was also God. He was called Mighty God. He was called God with us, Emmanuel and El Gibor. The fulfillment of that was in John chapter 1, 1 through 14. And part of that reads, In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things came into being through him. Apart from him, nothing came into being that has come into being. He was in the world, and the world was made through him. The Word, God, became flesh and dwelt among us. And concerning the birth of Jesus, around the time frame of when Jesus was born, he was called Emmanuel, God with us, who dwelt with us. He became flesh and dwelt among us. And we also know that in the Feast of the Tabernacles, God came to tabernacle among them. And I believe, based on the birth, the time frame of when the birth of Elizabeth, John the Baptist, who gave birth to John the Baptist, Elizabeth who gave birth to John the Baptist, he was born 6 months prior to Yeshua's birth in Bethlehem. So if you look, and I didn't write the verse down, but if you look up in where it speaks about Mary visiting Elizabeth at the time, Gabriel came to her and told her that Elizabeth was in her 6th month. At the time, he also told Mary that she would bear a son and name him Jesus. It says she quickly, it's in Luke, somewhere in Luke, she made haste to go see Elizabeth. So that pretty much means right away. So if she went to see Elizabeth right away at that time, Elizabeth was in her 6th month with John. Mary had just been had just conceived Jesus, and when Elizabeth gave birth to John, she remained with her. She was 3 months along by the time Elizabeth gave birth to John, because she stayed with her 3 months. It says in the book of Luke that Mary stayed with Elizabeth 3 months till the time of the birth of John. Then Yeshua was born 6 months later. That would come right at the time of the Feast of Tabernacles, which was in between mid-September and October. So if that lined up to be correct, and Yeshua was born then it would fit with the time frame. He came to tabernacle among us. He was born as a baby and dwelt among us. So doesn't fit December. I don't believe it was December. But irregardless, he was born of a virgin, and I hope you had a nice Christmas. I hope you remembered the birth of Jesus and the reason for the season. And I also want to sign off with my usual shalom to you and your family. Goodbye.